If there's more to see and it's not being easily seen, Steve is going to do whatever needs to happen to see it, to push it out into the light. He will not hesitate to spend any amount of money that he is able to get. He is not going to hesitate to do whatever he has to do to get the answers. He won't stop. One card from Kaylee. Give me like a password from what I just said. 5 of Pentacles. And again, it's leaning more towards looking to me like it's not so much him doubting the accuracy of the evidence. It's more, what more is there to see than what I'm being shown?
Gates learned an attorney filed notices of tort claims with the city of Moscow on behalf of the families of 2 of the University of Idaho stabbing victims. This puts the city on notice that the families could file lawsuits. Shannon Gray, the attorney, sent Moscow these tort claim notices on May 3rd on behalf of Kaylee Gonsalvez's and Madison Mogan's families. He said the families plan to seek damages from the city and any of its agencies related to the stabbing deaths of Kaylee and Maddie at their home just off campus on November 13th of last year. Gray said the amount they're seeking is undetermined at this time. In the document, 7 investigates received.
Like, I'm not saying you're lying about this, or I'm not saying that this evidence isn't accurate or whatever, but I'm saying what else is there, because this doesn't connect straight to this. There's something in the middle that connects them. What is it? That's what I'm getting. Because I'm not just going to take your word for it. You need to show me. Because if there's someone else that's involved in what happened to my daughter, they need to be held accountable as well. 3 of Cups reversed would be a third party situation. Queen of Pentacles would be the link. 3 of Cups upright was the girls out that night, but now it's in reverse. That's what it is. He's saying, okay, so this is the guy. You have proof. Great. Where is the proof that he worked alone? Where is the proof that there's no one else that needs to be brought? There's no one else that needs to be brought to justice for what happened to my daughter. Where's the proof of that? Because I'm not just going to take your word for it. You need to show me. Because if there's someone else that's involved in what happened to my daughter, they need to be held accountable as well. Because the 2 is like something that you don't know yet. And then this is the link. And then this is a third party situation. Another word to use, let me see, is it something about working alone? The Chariot. I don't know what other word to use other than deal, but I almost feel like in terms of what Kaylee's saying about her dad's energy towards Brian, it's like he wants him to try and tell on other people that were involved in some way to get some kind of lesson down, something for him. Not that he wants it to be lessened, but it's almost like it, not that he is like, oh, let's give him a lesser sentence, but it's just like one card for if Steve feels like there's a lot more to the story. Knight of Pentacles. He's being practical about it. Scratch what I said before about the deal. It's not necessarily a deal. It is Steve feels like there is more than what is known. Chariot makes me feel as though it is something about another person being involved that had something to do with the vehicle or moving of the vehicle or something along those lines. Like, there's something about the tracking of the car versus the timeline of the murders versus the intensity of the murders. There's something about that that doesn't add up to Steve, and he's willing to believe the truth even if the truth goes against what he has a hunch about. And I believe that his hunch is that there's something more here, and he's not going to stop until he gets to the bottom of it, which, why would he, right? But Knight of Pentacles is like, I'm playing this very patient game. I'm going to wait and see what comes out.
I understand that Kaylee Gonzalez's father did an interview, and this happened right after that arraignment that you were present for?
Yeah, that's right. He did speak out on his thoughts concerning the arraignment, how that transpired, seeing Bryan Kohberger again in person inside that courtroom. Julia, he had his eyes locked on the man accused of murdering his daughter and her friends. Glaring at him, he would express disdain, shaking his head, nodding, sadness, comforting his family around him. And he did speak out, talking about, what happened, but also his thoughts on the defendant. Let's watch.
Rage is definitely probably the primary emotion that you have. And then I remind myself that I need to, actually understand what's going on and memorize everything that's being said, take notes. So you want to be strategic as well, because, justice doesn't fall out of the sky. You sometimes you got to earn it. You got to do everything. We're just parents, and we've been thrown in this. And, we just listen and we work together and we send out our emails and, did you hear this update? Did you hear that update? So we're getting more organized, and I think we'll have a full front, showing up in that courtroom. We moved here and people move here for the safety that we have. And we have to make sure that the world knows that you can't come to Idaho. You can't hunt our children down, and you can't kill them in their beds and just be given, a room to stay. And then, this guy's a smart man. He's going to try to exercise his influence and write papers for other criminals. And he'd have a presence, and he'd still be able to act as a bad character. And that's not what we want. We're looking for somebody to, pay the price of what he did. It's not one person. It's four individuals. We're doing everything that they could possibly do to embetter their lives. And they just went to bed one night, and some monster snuck into their home and killed them.
Some powerful words from the father.
I don't necessarily tend to believe that Steve is like, oh, this can't be the guy. I don't think it's that, but I do think there's more to see here, and there's nothing I can really say about it because of everything that's in place. Clarify for the Chariot. The Emperor and the Hermit. Two different people. I feel as though Steve believes that there's someone else involved to some extent in this, and it's almost like he can't push too hard to figure out why that hasn't come out yet, but he's going to be there to soak in every word, every syllable, every breath, so he can put together in his mind how he should push to get certain information after he's available to do so. In the other reading, I said it was like something that the families didn't know yet. But then I couldn't make sense of how they wouldn't know it if it's something about the victim. Maybe it's this. Meeting. Yes. Meeting, yes. It's almost like he feels as though someone else is involved, but since he's in a corner and can't really talk about certain things, he can't say anything, but he's waiting to see what information comes out to see if it'll further convince him of his personal theory or if he'll be proven wrong. But he's like, there's nothing I can do right now until this all comes out, so I need to sit here and kind of wait and see if I'm right or if I'm wrong, and then I'll determine how to push forward.
Kaylee, so a moment, and of course the Gonsalves family says they will be at every hearing, every step of the way.
I have no doubt about that we will see them, that they will be there making sure people remember not only Kaylee and Maddie, but all of the victims in this case. But
he's waiting to see if Brian will turn on somebody else to be involved. If they have enough evidence that comes out that makes it glaringly obvious that there's no other way that he's going to get out of this, it's like there's this feeling of, okay, maybe he'll turn on other people that were outside involved in order to try and lessen his sentence. It's not necessarily that he wants a deal for him, because he doesn't. What he really wants is like 10 minutes in a room alone with him. But anyway, he wants that bargaining chip of, okay, we got you in a corner. Now you have to turn on the other elements of this that aren't being talked about because of certain protections. If that makes sense. I don't know, but the Emperor and the Hermit, to clarify the Chariot, which was the element of the car driving, this is two separate people. And when we were talking about the driver before, I said one person was grounded in place and one person was moving the car. The Hermit is like an inward journey. So in the car journey, Emperor sitting on a throne, grounded in place, the one in charge of what's going on. So to me, that's two separate people. So I don't think Steve is all the way convinced that the person who did this did not have help in any piece of it. And that's why I believe personally, in my opinion, that he made that statement the way that it came off. Not necessarily that he thinks that they have all this evidence on the wrong person, but he believes that there is more to know. But with the secrecy, because he did mention secrecy being frustrating, I don't know, he knows something that we don't, and I know that's like, oh, obvious, but I don't know. The High Priestess, I said he knows something that we don't. The Devil and the High Priestess. I believe he knows about some kind of connection to a bigger piece of the puzzle. Homicide, false person, and devil. And there we go with the two different entities again. I feel as though the reason that he worded what he said the way that it was worded is because he wants them to fully convince him that nobody else was involved in this in any way, or he wants the real story about how other people are involved. And I think he has pieces of that story, but not the full story. And when someone is really angry, and rightfully so, but they have the wherewithal and self-control to stay patient in the unraveling of that, how do I word this? Steve is not going to stop until he gets the right answers and the full right answers. If there's more to see and it's not being easily seen, Steve is going to do whatever needs to happen to see it, to push it out into the light. So I don't necessarily think that he is trying to point towards doubt of Brian. I think it's that he's trying to point towards doubt of, if he did this alone, you're going to have to convince me, because it's not adding up in my mind. And if he didn't work alone, then he wants everybody behind bars. And rightfully so.
Sooner than later, June 9th is a big motions hearing day concerning the gag order that the magistrate judge put in place months ago. It's an expansive gag order, even covering the attorney for the Gonsalves family. They've been challenging it and wanting it clarified because they want to speak out the family and through their attorney. And so that is going to be addressed.
So I am feeling like I want to just include a couple cards from Kaylee to Steve, but I don't want anyone to send him this video. I feel as though this is a message that he'll receive when he's meant to, and she'll lead him to maybe this particular part in the video. I'm going to put in a timestamp or something in a pinned comment. Maybe I'll put, like, if Steve happens to see this, click this timestamp. Anyway, but I don't feel as though I want anyone to send this to him. I'd rather him come across it himself, but I did, again, just wanted to include a message from Kaylee to Steve. Wow, so many people have said that there's been orbs in a lot of my videos. Do one more from each pile.